We're going to start on page 47 before we get into today's lesson. This page 47 recaps what we learned last week. But before I do that,
that's good.
I'm missing some board space, but that's okay. All right, smaller, so you can look up.
Honest, direct, and respectful, right?
Yep.
That's the first principle of effective communication.
Yes. Actually, I think the last lesson of this class is almost as important as this, which is active listening. Making sure you're paying attention to what the other person is saying and repeating it back to them, making sure you got it right. Because in my personal experience, I've had more problems with miscommunications than I do anything else. And if you're using active listening, if you're actually paying attention to what the person's saying and you make sure by asking them if you understood what they were saying, you're not going to have those miscommunications. Does that make sense? That's just my personal opinion. The book has active listening down as the last thing. Book. Up. All right. I'll let you guys read them off to me. What's the next one? Imagine yourself being more assertive or less aggressive. Imagine somebody that you know who is more assertive and how they would handle the situation and then emulate that. What's next?
Believe.
Believe that you are allowed to, because what's one of the emotions that keep us from being assertive and standing up for ourselves? Guilt, feeling like we don't deserve to stand up for ourselves. So, what's the next? Emotional awareness. Know how you're feeling and ask yourself, am I feeling too upset, too happy, too sad? Am I feeling not mad enough? Should I be madder at this situation? Yes, sir.
I don't know if this would be one of them, but set boundaries.
We're going to actually get to that next week. Part of confrontation. Win-win. I versus you.
Stick to facts, don't exaggerate.
Oh, that's one of my favorite. I break that rule all the time, especially with my kids. You always leave the toilet seat up. You always do this. They don't always. I'm not supposed to do that. I'm supposed to stick to the facts.
Body language, facial expressions, tone of voice.
Tone of voice, and that's what we learned, that's what we talked about last week. And today, we are talking about style. Look at my style. Green shirt, blue jeans, no, that's not the kind of style we're talking about. Yes, Bob?
I know facial expressions has already been mentioned or listed, but body language.
Yes. That's what we covered last week.
Got two of them.
Yep. Let's see, let me make sure I get the roll. Today we're going to talk about style. But first, stop signs and green lights. And this is the last page of last week's session that we didn't get to cover. So let's go over it right now. Several signals will indicate whether or not you're headed down the wrong road. These signals can either be non-assertive or aggressive. Read and learn the signals. Practice using what you learn. It's okay to stop and say something like, excuse me, let me start over. So if you catch yourself using a you statement, if you catch yourself saying, man, you always do this, you can stop. Let me start over again. I don't like that you just did this. You've done this 3 times already now. You can backtrack. I like that. Others will respect your efforts to be assertive. Stop saying you should, you must, you have to. Restate as either a request or a directive. Stop using exaggerated words like obviously, absolutely, always, never, impossible. Restate with more realistic and factual words. Stop saying you know, maybe, kinda, sorta, only, just, I guess. Restate in a more direct, confident manner without the wishy-washy qualifiers. This one, we've had a lot of debate in previous classes, and I'll get your opinion in a second. Stop asking, can you, could you, would you? Why don't you, would you mind? Do you think you might? Request by asking, will you please? It's the only question that truly asks for action and a commitment. What do you guys think about that one?
I like it. The please is in there, so it makes it polite, but it's still direct.
Yeah.
The only problem I have with it is in today's society, using common English, it's not impolite, or in my opinion, it's not passive or aggressive to say, would you please do this, or would you mind doing this? To me, that's a polite way of asking somebody to do something. And people know that you're asking them to either do it. So, yes, sir.
Sorry, I didn't interrupt.
That's right.
There is, this is unique in a way, but there has to be a certain amount of assertiveness or aggressiveness, like in the military, United States Army, United States Marine Corps, because the sergeant has to be with the private first classes in that he is in charge of, say.
Yes. I was in the military,
You,
and my drill sergeants were very assertive. They told me what to do. Remember, that's assertive. Actually, we'll get into that with today's lesson about styles, because drill sergeants use a completely different style than a husband's going to use with his wife, or a parent's going to use with their child, or you're going to use with your boss. You're not going to treat your boss like a drill sergeant treats a private, are you? Exactly. That's why we're going to talk about styles today. Anyways, I think it's perfectly acceptable to ask, can you? Because if I ask you, can you do this? And you say, well, yeah, I can, but I'm not going to. You're basically replying with a sarcastic response. You knew what I was asking when I said, can you? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So in today's English, the asking can you is, I think, understood by most people as a request, will you please? It's pretty much the same. But if you don't get anywhere asking can you, could you, would you, why don't you, would you mind, then you go to the would you please stop doing that? Would you please do this? Etc. Then you go to the more assertive statement. Lastly, stop using it, that, one, you, we instead of I. State your thoughts with I think, I believe, I feel, I am. I statements versus you statements. Now let's move on to today. Actually, green lights, page 48. I missed a page, sorry. The following signals indicate that you are on the right road. Communicating assertively. Keep going when you have these green lights. Go. When you feel relaxed, comfortable, and stress-free, these are positive signs that you are being assertive. When the person with whom you are interacting displays attentiveness, comfort, cooperation, and respect, when you see no signals of bad feelings, rebellion, disregard, or defensiveness, you are being assertive. In next week's lesson, when we learn about confrontation, we're going to learn that you can be assertive and the other person will not necessarily always react in a nice way. That's when it becomes a confrontation. So this is normal communication. This isn't confrontation. The book's not talking about confrontations right now. It's just talking about normal communication.
Yeah.
When another says, okay, sure, or I'll be glad to in response to your request or directive, that's a good sign. When others do what you want with no indication of resentment or discomfort, you have good evidence that you are being assertive. And lastly, when others are assertive with you, when they communicate their honest thoughts, feelings, and opinions, wants, and needs in a direct and respectful manner, they are affirming your assertive behavior with them. I do. I respect that when people in my life tell me that I've done something that offended them or that they don't agree with. That, I really do appreciate that. All right. Today's lesson. Styles. 4 assertive styles. Everyone has a natural assertive style that comes from his or her basic personality. You probably will recognize yours among the following 4 descriptions. Who would like to read the first one for us? Supportive and caring. Anybody?
I can.
Okay, thanks.
Supporting, caring. This style communicates warmth, nurturing, and concern for others. Content is presented in a direct, honest, and respectful manner. Sorry, content, not content. is presented in a direct, honest, and respectful manner. It maintains an awareness of the feelings of others. Those who naturally use this assertive style are often feelers.
All right, next, direct and guiding. Who would like to read that one for us? Anybody?
I will.
Thank you.
Direct guiding. This is an impersonal style that communicates a no-nonsense, authoritative approach and a concern for results. It is a firm but respectful style using directives rather than requests. It does not come across as being bossy or dictatorial. The directing, guiding style communicates beliefs and opinions appropriately, as well as commands. Those who use this style most frequently are doers and/or thinkers.
And analytical. Anybody like to read analytical? Thank you.
This style also is impersonal and matter of fact. It communicates facts, information, thoughts, and probabilities. This style uses requests to obtain results rather than directives. Directing, guiding is a tell 'em style, whereas analytical is an ask 'em style. Analytical is calm and emotionless. It is used most naturally by those in the thinker group.
Okay. And lastly, expressive. This style is animated, energetic, spontaneous, and emotional. Feelings, likes, dislikes, wants, and needs are communicated in this style in an open and expressive manner. Those using this style are usually intuitive, creative, spontaneous, and lively. They are normally doers or feelers. Do you recognize your natural assertive style? Did you recognize others you know as you read each description? All four styles are assertive because each communicates in an appropriate, direct, and honest manner. What do you guys think about those different styles?
Sounds good.
Which one would the training instructor in boot camp in the military use?
Directing, guiding,
Yep. Which one would a parent use when telling their child no?
supporting,
Which one would you use if your boss asks you to do something that you can't do?
directing,
Expressive.
Analytical.
Analytical.
I like to think of analytical as, here's why. You're still going to say no. You're still going to say, do this. But you want to give them some information. I would look at that as more of a professional approach to being assertive. And expressive. Who's going to use expressive?
I just think that's my personality, to do it, to have the expressive style.
I like this one because this style is animated, energetic, spontaneous, and emotional. Well, anybody's going to use that if they're angry, if they're happy, if they're sad, if they're frustrated. You have asked me for money every time I've walked by you, every day this week. Stop asking me for money.
some of the traits more masculine, some more feminine.
No, I don't think so, and I'm going to explain why in a minute. Yes, Bob?
I don't know if this would be one, but for expressive, wouldn't that include school teachers?
I don't know, what do you guys think?
No, I think
Because
directing and guiding.
there's a certain amount of discipline that some school teachers use.
School teachers could be any one of them, it could be two at the same time.
Well, thank you. Most people, in an ideal world, you're going to use all of them. So, with your boss, supportive and caring, you understand what they are worried about. You understand why, and you want to communicate that to them. I know you need this report for tonight's meeting, and I know it's important for you, but I can't do it right now. I don't have it ready.
That's true about school teacher as far as directing.
Yeah.
Because if there's a student that cannot comprehend something that's being taught,
They're gonna be
the teacher helps out with them,
Yeah.
so he does.
Let me start over again because I think this is important for you to understand how you can use all the styles at the same time. So your boss, you're supportive and caring. You want to express to them that you understand what their feelings and needs are. I understand you need this report today. That's really important to you, but I can't do it right now because you also asked me to do this other thing and I'm working on it right now. Analytical, well, I just gave him the reason and just gave him some reasons why. And expressive, I'm just as frustrated as you are. I feel bad that it's not done yet, but I'm working as fast as I can. Does that make sense? So in an ideal world, if you're not having a hostile confrontation with somebody, you can use all four. Try to be supportive. Make sure the other person knows you understand how they feel. Then be direct and guiding and say no, or say you need to do this, or you're going to do this. Do this, and then tell them why. I pay my rent. It's your responsibility to. I understand you're busy, landlord, but I want my water heater fixed this week, so fix it by Friday. Because I pay my rent, I pay it on time, and it's your responsibility to make sure my hot water heater is working, and I'm getting tired of taking cold showers every day.
Oh.
So I just use all 4 styles to communicate to my landlord to tell him, fix my hot water heater by Friday. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But there are going to be times when you're only going to use one or the other. Did you have a comment or question, Bob?
Like a doctor, that would include supporting, caring, and also directing, guiding, especially a psychiatrist, because the doctor is caring for someone who is sick. And some of those psychiatrists, medical doctors over here at Christ Hospital give electrical shock treatments. In a way, that's supporting and caring. And then when they make recommendations, that's directing and guiding to do better.
I agree. Doctors are probably going to be more analytical and supportive, combination of that. Police officers, what do you think they use most?
Probably
Directing,
directing and guiding, or
I don't. I've watched cops, I've watched live PD. I think that they are trying to communicate to the person, they're trying to empathize, sympathize, they're trying to build a rapport with somebody. I think they probably use supportive and caring, and maybe expressive a lot. They always end with directing and guiding,
Yeah.
but they always use a combination every time I've witnessed a police encounter.
they would probably
And I
not
think they're
be,
taught to do that. They're taught to put yourselves in the other person's shoes.
they would probably not be expressive though.
I don't know. What do you guys think? Probably not. Showing emotion.
No.
If somebody's holding a knife coming at a police officer, I don't think there's anything wrong with them being expressive and being a little angry or a little. Yes, sir.
For policemen, like we just mentioned, expressive example of that is if the criminal's a really bad one, and they'll start the fight with policemen. There's some criminals are that bad to that extent, they'll start a fight with policemen, but the policeman's trained to beat them in that fight.
Yes, but what my point was, I think that most police officers are trained to
trained to
avoid
hold.
that
Yeah.
by talking to them, by trying to be supportive or analytical. So if you can avoid a fight by talking to somebody, and I think police are trained in psychology a little bit.
right.
So, all right, now let's turn to page 52. It's a little quiz. Remember, supportive and caring, you're trying to communicate to the other person that you understand how they feel. Directing and guiding, you're telling them to do something. You're telling them to stop doing something. You're telling them to give you what's yours. You're telling them to whatever. Analytical, you're giving reasons. And expressive, you're expressing emotion. So, number 1, the quarterly report indicates a 7% increase in productivity.
Analytical.
Exactly. Hey, that's terrific.
E.
Expressive.
Easy. We're going to have, let's see, I really appreciate you summarizing all this data for us.
SC.
Yep. By the way, speak up if you disagree with anything. It's important to nail down just how that was accomplished.
Analytical.
Expressive.
Ooh, the book has something different.
We'll get like 2 of them.
This is your boss telling you something.
Analytical and expressive.
It is important to nail down just how that was accomplished.
He wants the
Directing and
details.
guiding.
Directive and guiding.
What do you guys think? You said directing and guiding. What did you say, Steve?
I said analytical.
What do you think, Bob? It's important to nail down just how that was accomplished. It's a direct statement according to the book. That was directing
It'd
and
be
guiding.
directing and guiding, I would think, like you just mentioned.
I think it's a combination of analytical and directing and guiding, because you're kind of giving a reason too.
What is the book
Yeah,
say?
that's right.
Book says directing and guiding. Next one. Give me more details on the new product line, James.
Okay, give me some more details.
Analytical.
I say expressive.
Say
Directing,
directing and
guiding.
guiding again.
Why?
Directing, guiding.
directing and guiding.
Giving.
I'm simply telling somebody what to do. That's directing and guiding it.
Mhm.
Direct as it gets. Next, I know you're excited about our new products, Pat. I would like to hear more about them after we finish the productivity discussion.
Okay.
Bob,
Sorry,
Bob, you
sorry,
raised your hand?
sorry.
Which
Yeah, that'd be
Bob-
direct guiding for the previous one, because what I'm thinking is expressive can be more of emotional
Yeah.
type thing. And
I think that would be expressive then, wouldn't it?
Expressive, you're sharing your emotions. Supportive, you're trying to make sure the other person knows that you understand their emotions. That's
Help
the
them out,
difference.
too.
So, I know you're excited about our new products, Pat, and I would like to hear more about them after we finish the productivity discussion.
Supportive caring one.
Yep. That's what the book says, yes. Next, thank you, Terry. I estimate about 20 minutes will be required to complete the productivity analysis. The next item will be, on the agenda will be new products.
Analytical.
Yeah, that's pretty easy. Okay, let's do it. This productivity stuff is boring, and I'd like to get on a new topic.
Expressive.
Expressive.
Yep. Next. Chris, you sure like the new ideas, don't you? Thank you for being patient and keeping a lid on long enough for us to finish.
Supportive caring.
More than caring.
Yep, pretty easy. Next. My analysis revealed 3 factors that contributed to the productivity improvement. The first was...
Analytical.
Analytic.
It says analyst, or that word in the thing.
Yeah. All right. We're going to move on to page 56. Now, the first is we're telling or asking somebody to assist us with a project. We're telling or asking a person named Pat to assist us with a project. And these are the different ways you can do it. Pat, if you can spare some time, will you please give me some help on this project? Thank you so much. It's supportive and caring. Why? Pat, if you can spare
Please.
some time.
If you can spare time, please. Word please.
If you can.
They're taking their needs into consideration and their time into consideration and they're
Yeah.
saying please and thank you.
That's exactly what the book says. The book says because we're letting the other person know that we understand how they're feeling or what they might be experiencing, that's a supportive and guiding. That's what makes that supportive and caring. Pat, please complete. I can't talk today. Pat, please complete this part for me so I can wrap up this project. Peter Piper picked a pep cup. A lot of alliteration in that. Pat, please complete. Why is that directive and guiding?
So they're just telling them what to do so that it helps them.
Exactly. I threw the word please in there. You can be polite, but it's a direct question. I'm directly asking the person to do something. Analytical. Pat, if you assist me, I can complete this project this week. Will you organize this section? Why is that analytical? What about that statement makes that analytical?
This is
Facts.
exact details, facts and details.
Yep.
Yeah.
Reasons and facts. And of course, last, I think this one's easy. Pat, help, I'm swamped. How about running some figures for me? What makes that expressive? You're communicating how you feel. You're showing some emotion, some of your emotion.
Exclamation points and help.
Well, that's how it's
Swamped.
written, but the exclamation
swamped.
point, yep, I'm swamped. All right, in the next the next section, give Chris feedback about how well she has organized a meeting. So remember, we can use assertiveness not just to ask for something, or to tell somebody no, or to tell somebody to do something, or not do something, or to give us something. We can use assertiveness to share how we feel about somebody or what they've done. Supportive and caring way to tell Chris that they did a good job. Chris, I really appreciate how well you organized the conference. Everyone seemed comfortable with the arrangements. What makes that supportive and caring?
Appreciate. Tell them you
You're
appreciate.
expressing your feelings.
To me, it's a
Expressing everyone
combination of
else's
expression.
feelings too. 'Cause everyone seemed comfortable.
Okay. Anyone else?
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's a little gray because to me, that's more expressive than it is supportive and caring. Supportive and caring to me would have been something like, Chris, I really appreciate how well you organized the conference. I know it must not have been hard or it must not have been easy. or I know you must have been nervous about it. Communicating that you understand where they're coming from, to me, is more supportive and caring. To me, that's a pretty gray line between supportive and expressive. But remember, most of the time, if we do it right, we're going to use a combination of these styles. Next, direct and guiding. Chris, that was a fine job you did on the meeting arrangements. What makes that direct and guiding? Chris, you didn't do a good job. Chris, you did a good job on the, we're simply making a statement of fact directly. And that's always gray, there's always a gray line between directing and guiding and analytical. So let's read the analytical. Chris, your arrangements for the conference were very complete. The sessions were on time, everyone had all the necessary information, and the meeting ran efficiently. So we told Chris that she did a good job, now we're telling her why, and that's what makes that analytical. And the last one, I'll try to read it in an expressive way, which I think I didn't do on the earlier example. Super job, Chris. Great meeting. That's expressive. I'm expressing my emotions. Whether I'm saying what my emotions are or not, I'm making sure the other person knows what my emotions are. Yes, sir.
I think what a lot of or refers to how much in direct detail a person can be, how much detail they go through these different emotions of ways of communicating with other people, how detailed in depth they go.
Yes.
Pretty deep.
Okay, now we're going to read a story.
What page?
And I have a confession to make. I haven't read this story since last session, so I should have read it before class today. So
Yeah,
we're going to be
what page?
reading it together.
Which
What page?
Page 57, the very next page. Can you identify these people? I think it's going to be pretty easy. Two business people were seated in the same row on an airplane. So try to picture this in your head as I read it. The middle seat was initially empty. It was a full flight with a third person finally occupied the seat between the two travelers. The person in the middle also appeared to be traveling for business. So you have three people who appear to be business travelers sitting in three adjoining seats on an airplane. The person by the window asked the traveler in the middle, "What is your destination?" The passenger answered, "Chicago." After a short while, the passenger by the window asked, "What business are you in?" The reply, "Electronics." The person by the window made no further attempts to communicate. They didn't ask any more questions. The person sitting in the aisle seat heard the preceding interaction. This passenger also noticed the middle passenger's expensive suit, costly wristwatch, and eel-skin briefcase. Assessing the visual clues and lack of responsiveness to the other person's questions, the aisle passenger said to the traveler in the middle seat, "Tell me about what you do." At that, the traveler launched into a lengthy explanation of his business, the purpose of his trip, and his past successes. Which communication style was used by the window seat passenger? Hold on one second, think about that for a minute. The window seat passenger. What communication style was used by that person? Direct and guiding, analytical, expressive, supportive, and caring.
I think it was supporting and caring because they were trying to ask them more information about what they were doing.
Well, let's reread it. What is your destination? Where are you going? Let's use common English. Where are you going? And you answer. Then a little bit later I say, "So what do you do for a living?" And then you tell me. Then I don't ask you anything else. What style, which of those four styles was the person asking those two simple, quick questions using?
Analytical, because
The book says analytical, I say directing and guiding. They're to the point, straight.
Are you talking about number
direct.
one?
yeah,
The first person who asked questions, which communication style was used by the person who simply asked two simple questions that didn't say anything else? The book says analytical. I
They were
personally think it's more
closed-ended.
direct. What do you think?
they were closed-ended questions.
Yeah.
Just
And
to the point, very factual.
yes, and what style was used by the aisle seat passenger? Let's reread what he said. Tell me about what you do. What communication style was that based on everything we've just talked about and read? Tell me about what you
Directing
do.
and guiding.
Yeah, directing and guiding.
Mm-hmm.
What was the middle passenger's personality type? which of those 4 categories do you think they probably would fit into when telling somebody to do something, based on how they responded to the aisle passenger? After the aisle passenger said, "Tell me what you do," or "Tell me about what you do," the traveler launched into a lengthy explanation of his business, the purpose of his trip, and his past successes.
Feeler.
I agree. The book says doer. I disagree with the book. What do you guys think? I think they'd be more likely to use a supportive and caring or analytical or expressive. I don't know, maybe expressive.
I say
Because
expressive.
the book said they talked for a long time. So that, yeah, that makes them kind of expressive in my mind.
Yeah,
What do you
that's
guys
true.
think? All right, let's move on. So, how delivery affects different styles. How you say words is important when using each style. Following are some suggestions for successful delivery, and I'll try to role play a little bit. Supportive and caring. Use a warm, nurturing, mellow tone of voice. Communicate personal interest, appreciation, concern, gratitude, or empathy by making good eye contact and using comfortable facial expressions. Think of a loving grandparent when you're trying to use the supportive and caring assertiveness style. Directing and guidance. Be firm and authoritative, but not harsh or dictatorial. Your delivery should be a matter-of-fact, direct, and serious. Facial involvement is an expression of concentration or purpose. Now, before we read the last 2, let me try to demonstrate why these are important. Because remember, supportive and caring, let's come up with a scenario. Supportive and caring family member. Your brother or sister or parent.
Like, if there's a family and their parents are getting of old age,
Okay.
and let's say their parents have to move out of their house and into a building where there's apartments for assisted living,
Okay.
and they can't do much cleaning of their own apartment and stuff like that, so there could be other people who have jobs that can come into their apartment and clean their apartment, help them out with it and stuff like that.
All right, so what's the scenario where we need to be assertive or stand up for ourselves or tell somebody to do something or ask somebody to do something? What's the scenario?
Well, if the person who's
Are you the child talking to the parent who's going to move into the assisted living?
Well, I mean, if it's someone who needs assisted living, let's say they're getting of old age and they can't live in a house and keep up with the house on their own.
Okay, we can use that. So
No,
let's-
you could say grandma.
Now, well, let's come up with a specific scenario where somebody needs to be assertive in a supportive way, a direct way, an analytical way, or an expressive way for that person. So I'd say, let's role play, I'm the child, and I'm telling the parent that they have to move into the
Oh.
assisted
okay.
living place.
Okay.
Supportive and caring.
That
I
would
know
be-
you don't want to, I know you're afraid to.
If there is someone who helps them out with cleaning their apartment, do stuff like that for them, that would be supportive and caring.
Well, no, right now, we want to think of a scenario where we need to be we need to assertively tell these parents that they have to move into an assisted living. So, do you want to be the child? Do you want to role play it? How would you supportively tell somebody that they need to move into an assisted living facility?
It depends upon what way they need to be helped out by
Right.
moving into assisted.
Well, let me try to come up with one with my imagination. So I'm going to pretend like my mom needs to move into an assisted living facility. And I want to be supportive and caring. Look, Mom, I know you're worried, you're scared. You've lived in your house for 30 years. It breaks your heart to think of leaving it. But we're going to be with you. We're going to visit you a couple times a week, if not every day at first. We're going to make sure you have all your personal belongings with you. We're going to make sure you have everything you need. But you really don't have a choice. You don't have enough money to stay in your house. You have to move because you need the help from the people who are going to be helping you. And you can't afford to live in the house anymore. That's supportive and caring, in my opinion. What do you guys think? Did I do a good job?
Yeah.
Now, directing and guiding. Mom, you can't stay in your house anymore. You can't afford to pay the mortgage. And you have to have somebody check on you once a day because of your medical problems. You have to go to this assisted living facility.
Mm.
That's directing and guiding. Now let's go back to what the book's saying. This page is telling us how to be directing and guiding. Be firm and authoritative. Was I firm and authoritative when I told my mom she had to move into direct? By the way, which style would you choose of those two? Which one would you?
First one.
Supportive and caring.
Gary.
But let's be firm and authoritative while trying to be supportive and guiding. Mom, I know you're going to be sad when you move. Mom, I know you're scared. We are going to be there. We are going to be there. So you see how being firm and authoritative doesn't kind of work with the words that I was trying to use when I was being supportive. That's why the book is telling us, all right,
Do you have to
it's one
use so
thing.
many you statements with the directing and guiding though?
No, thank you. I wrote the rules.
You use a lot of you statements.
Actually, I didn't. I know, I'm telling the other person that I understand how I think they feel. I know that you're probably scared. I know that you're going to be sad. I would be sad leaving the house that I've lived in for 30 years. I grew up in this house. I'm sad that we have to sell it. But you can't afford to pay the mortgage anymore. That's a fact, by the way.
That's
That's
better
not a
way
you
to say
statement,
it.
it's a fact. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Also supporting and caring, let's say a member of the family has to move in the hospital for psychiatric reasons, and the other members of their family cares for them by visiting them and making sure they're okay and stuff like that.
Mom, you forgot to turn off the stove and started a fire, which is really dangerous. And we're worried that it's going to happen again. That's a you statement, but it's a fact. So when we're talking about I versus you statements, we're talking about not attacking the other person, not putting it on them, trying to focus on how you feel.
I was
I'm
gonna say,
worried.
didn't that sound like attacking someone?
Right. Mom, you left the stove on and it started a fire. I'm worried it's going to happen again. I stated a fact, and I told her how I felt about it. Does that make sense? So,
It's a little combination.
yeah. Analytical, use an even, no-nonsense, pragmatic delivery. Your facial expression should be alert and thoughtful. If you move into the directed assisted living facility, you'll have more money to go out to dinner and buy things for yourself. You'll have all your meals taken care of. You won't have to worry about cooking any food. I'm giving all these reasons now why it might be a good idea. Expressive. Oh, that one would be hard. I don't know how to do that expressive.
I'm
What emotion
sorry.
would you be feeling?
I can,
It breaks my heart for you
Yeah.
that this is what the doctors want you to do and this is what you have to do. And it breaks my heart that you can't pay the mortgage anymore and that the bank's taking the house. But I'm really looking forward to you living there because I know you'll be taken care of. So I'm expressing my emotion whenever you express it.
Mom, I'm really worried about you being alone in the house. And I
Use
feel
more
like
emotion.
this will be a better opportunity for you to live with a community and get the help that you need without worrying about myself and my brother always having to take you to doctor's appointments and missing time off work. I think it'll be a great opportunity for you, and it'll help take the burden that you worry about putting on us off.
You just used 3 of the styles at the same time. Supportive, you made her, let her know how she felt, that you understood how she felt, you expressed how you felt, you talked about some reasons. You just used 3
Okay.
styles at the same time. That was perfect.
Oh,
You get a gold star. All right, Bob.
Like in caring for someone who's getting of old age and their health goes bad, not only does their fear and anxiety level goes up, so do the other members of their family, if their health gets bad, is what's happening to them.
Yes. Okay. Page 50, let's see. Identifying styles to enhance communication on page 59. To identify the people who fit into one personality group or the other, look for the characteristics described below. Once you have figured out what someone's dominant personality type is, you can communicate more effectively with that person by using the matching assertive style. One of the problems that I have with this part of this class this week is I don't like labeling people. But I think that there's a difference between stereotyping people and using discernment and being observant about how a person usually responds to things.
I know that stereotype means model image, but some people can determine what other people are like by the way they act. They can classify them as what type of person they're like by the way they act.
Okay, I agree. Now let's look at what the book says about supportive and caring people. One of the other problems that I have with this is if I need to stand up for myself to my family, then I might identify them as supportive and caring because I'm thinking about how they interact with family. But my mom, when you need to stand up to her because she's your boss, you're going to analyze her based on how she interacts with her employees. Does that make sense? Same person is going to fit into different groups depending on the scenario. And that's where that list of scenarios that we came up with is important. Landlord-tenant, strangers, neighbors, family members, doctors and case managers and therapists. What we're doing is we're looking at these people when we decide, okay, I need to stand up with myself to my doctor and tell him this side effect is killing me. I really don't want to feel this way anymore. I want to try something different. I want to stop taking this medication, or whatever you want to communicate to your doctor in an assertive way. You have to analyze how that doctor usually interacts with you and pick the right style. If your doctor is a no-nonsense doctor with a firm bedside manner, maybe you are going to look at that person and say, you know what, this person is a directing and guiding type of person, so that's the style of assertiveness that I'm going to use with my doctor. I do not want to take this medicine anymore. What other medicines can I take? Does that make sense? But if your doctor has a wonderful bedside manner, always is expressing empathy or sympathy, maybe that your doctor is supportive and caring type, so when you go to him you say, doctor, I know you just want what's best for me and that's why you put me on this medication, but I really don't like the side effects. Can we look at some alternatives? So you're going to use a supportive and caring style because the doctor usually is a supportive and caring type of person. Does that make sense? That's what these next 2 pages are going to be talking about. Us trying to figure out before we, I'll get to you in a second, before we decide which style we want to use, which is all today's class is about, the different styles and deciding which ones or combinations we want to use. It's going to depend on who we're dealing with and what type of person that is, or what we can tell about what type of person that is from the interactions that we have. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you had a
Sorry,
comment or a
David.
question? Yeah.
Sorry, David.
It's all right.
I know I didn't mention this, I think, last week in this group. You got to consider some doctors are better than others.
Absolutely.
Some doctors make better advice and have better knowledge of medicine, of the right type of medicine for you to take to help you.
That's why we have these next 2 pages, because guess what? Let's say you have a doctor that you believe is not a good doctor and doesn't care about you and has a horrible bedside manner. Maybe expressive is one of the ways you want to go. You're going to choose a combination of directing and expressive. I don't think that you care about me at all. It doesn't seem, from my perspective, that you ever listen to what I say or what my opinions are. I don't like this medicine, and I don't want to take it anymore. By the way, is that assertive, aggressive, or passive?
I think it's expressive and assertive.
Did I say anything disrespectful to the doctor? No. That's assertive. You can be angry. You can be expressive and still be assertive and not be aggressive. All right, so let's go ahead and read through them. Who would like to read supportive and caring for us? I mean, these are pretty, I think there's a lot of common sense in these, but we're going to read them anyways. Anyone? All right, supportive and caring. These people value relationships and work hard at maintaining them. They often do thoughtful things, showing an awareness of and a concern for others. They are comfortable with self-disclosure and will talk about personal issues. Supportive, caring people will ask about you and your family. They have a comfortable look about them, with comfortable clothes, an open posture, and a kind, gentle facial expression. Their offices have touches of home with family photographs, plants, and a comfortable seating arrangement. Supportive, caring people need personal recognition and evidence that you care about them, not just their work. Picture the CEO of a company, who probably wouldn't fit in that category, at home with their grandparents with their grandkids on a Sunday, playing with their grandkids.
Caring.
In that setting, they're probably very supportive and caring, open to talk about personal issues.
So very simple.
Wasn't there recently, I heard on the radio, there was like a CEO of a company who won the lottery and he gave each one of his employees like a $50,000 bonus.
Wow.
That's a
Oh.
supporting and caring CEO.
I wonder if it's too late to join that company. So that's a supportive and caring person, but like I said, my mom's gonna be very supportive and caring with me and her sister and her grandkids. But if she's at the doctor's office or the pharmacy and they messed up her medication, she might start becoming more directing and guiding or analytical. So the person that we want to be assertive with, how are they usually treating us or people like us? And when I say us as a tenant, or us as a brother, or us as a customer, or us as a, remember all those different scenarios. Yes?
At my part-time job, a lot of times the manager can be assertive, not necessarily aggressive, but assertive.
Well, they have
But
to,
I
like I
have
said before.
I have a good relationship with them because I do as I'm told to do by them because they have authority since they're a manager or owner. So there's a certain amount of assertiveness that the owner managers at a restaurant have to have other people who they have authority over in a restaurant. So they do their jobs well and so
Yeah.
forth.
You just brought up a really good point. We are customers in a restaurant. So every Thursday at 11:45, we are gonna walk down to McDonald's and have class while we eat coffee and McMuffins. And we do it every day. We're gonna go to breakfast at that McDonald's as this group. And the person working behind the counter recognizes us and smiles when we come in, and we always ask how they're doing, and they ask how we're doing because we're regular customers that they're getting to know. And then somebody comes in, they're angry because their order was messed up. You were just describing a scenario where you can use different styles depending on who you're working with in the same setting.
Oh, yeah.
So that person working at the counter may be very supportive and caring and analytical when we have a problem with our coffee, but if another person comes in that they've never seen before and starts yelling and cussing at them, they may be more direct and guiding, sir. Direct and guiding. I'm sorry, your coffee wasn't hot enough. I'll get you new coffee. Pretty direct and guiding. With us, they'll be like, oh, I'm really sorry. They might be more expressive. Oh, I'm sorry, here, I'll get that right away. You know what? Your next coffee's on me. So they're going to treat people different based on how they're being treated. Yes?
Like you just mentioned, that could be a certain amount of supporting. Because if they want to come back to your restaurant and have good food, you ask them what they didn't like about it, and now you're supporting them by giving them a food that's better.
Absolutely. All right. People who are directing and guiding. These people value results, accomplishments, action, and loyalty.
Donald Trump.
They are not comfortable with self-disclosure and will rarely reveal anything about themselves other than their achievements and activities. They are not particularly interested in hearing about you, your family, or your problems. They prefer to keep things impersonal. Directing, guiding people have a serious, almost stern look about them, with closed postures and a military bearing. Their offices reflect a serious, organized place where things get done, and there are few personal touches other than symbols of their accomplishments or their beliefs and values. Their seating arrangement is formal and distancing.
President.
That's my doctor.
Hold on. When are you directing and guiding? What situations will you find yourself being all about, I don't want to hear about their family, I don't want, when in this interacting with this person, somebody that you interact with, a neighbor, stranger on the street.
Soccer coach would be directing.
Well, hold on. I'm talking about you personally
Uh-huh.
being directing and guiding in a situation in your life?
If I was
If
teaching
I'm
the
training
class.
a new employee at work and we don't have a lot of time to get done what we need to do, then I'm not gonna try and waste time
Yeah,
at that
you
moment.
have a job to do, you have something to do. Now let's think of other scenarios. You are trying to sleep, it's 2:30 in the morning, your neighbor is throwing a wild party and they spilled out into the hallway and woke you up and you're trying to sleep. I don't care about what the party's for. I don't care about how much fun they're having. I want them to take it back into the apartment. I'm going to tell them in a direct and guiding way, take it back into the apartment, it's 2:30 in the morning. So that's a situation where I'm gonna be directing and guiding. It doesn't mean I'm mean, that doesn't mean I'm like Donald Trump, it doesn't mean I'm like anybody. It just means I'm in that scenario being matter of fact. Now, the next day I may see the neighbor, hey, how was that party last night? You guys got a little wild. I might start being a little more analytical, expressive, talking, asking them about it, maybe even supportive and caring. Hey, I'm sorry if I upset you, but I really had to sleep.
Yeah.
Maybe we can agree that, keep it down after a certain time, on the weekends, or maybe just the weekends and not the weekday. So maybe the next day I'm going to use a different style, but in that moment, I'm going to be very directing and guiding. So these aren't labels that we have to always carry. So we don't have to pick one of these and then be like that with everybody all the time. Yes, sir.
Like you were mentioning about the President of the United States, there's the Democrats and the House of Representatives that wants them impeached. They're Democrats and he's a Republican. Whereas on the other hand, the President of the United States is a Republican, but he doesn't care that much for those Democrats in the House of Representatives that wants to impeach him. So,
Yes.
Could be a couple other ones besides directing and guiding. Like analytical, you have to be analytical to be a president.
Page, yeah, absolutely.
And
Well,
if Donald Trump's expressive too. He has moments of expressiveness.
sorry, forgot to.
Donald Trump.
All right. Donald Trump, Mother Teresa,
Caring.
all the time?
No.
100%.
You think she ever had to tell somebody to do something?
I think she
Or
did all
tell
the
somebody
time.
to stop doing something?
Yes,
The
yeah.
Bible says that Jesus went into a temple and knocked over a money table. He was pretty angry. Do you think Jesus ever told anybody what to do in a direct and guiding way?
Yeah, and I think he was
Oh, yeah.
analytical too. He gave them the
Analytical?
reasons he did the things he did.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so I don't want to vilify, because some people don't like politicians, so I don't want to vilify any of the styles, because all the styles have a purpose for different situations. And that's the whole point of today's class is, we've been talking about be direct, honest, and respectful. Use I versus you statements. Watch your body language. Don't point at people. Don't try to be too condescending with your body language. Make sure your tone of voice isn't too aggressive or passive. Make sure you're making eye contact but not staring or glaring. We're telling you, how to be assertive, but this is one of the most important weeks because you're not going to be assertive with your siblings or your payee who has control of your money. You're not going to be assertive with them the same way that you're assertive with a stranger on the street who, is bumping into you or asking you for money or someone else that you might get angry at or upset with and need to say no, or stop doing that, or don't call me an idiot, or stop calling me the crazy one. There are times that we need to stand up for ourselves when we're going to want to be direct and guiding. There are times when we're going to want to be supportive and caring. There's going to be times when we want to combine them like you did earlier so eloquently. Yes, sir?
an example of that would be like homeless people that you see out on the street holding up signs.
Yes.
Says, my name is so-and-so, I need money, food, shelter, can you offer it?
Which style do you think Mother Teresa would have used if she were walking down the street, she saw a homeless person with a sign, and she saw me kick him? How would she assertively tell me not to do that? Stop
Directing,
kicking me.
guiding, directing.
I think expressive. Stop that!
She'd be pretty
Don't kick a
mad.
homeless person. Yeah, she'd be pretty mad. She'd probably be pretty expressive.
Yeah,
So I'm
there's
just,
points
I'm just
where
trying
you
to point
need
out
to
that.
be mad like that, like, Mother Teresa's a wonderful person, and if she saw somebody do something like that, she would
Because she
stand up for
cares.
them.
She's going to be very expressive and directing.
Mhm.
So there are no bad styles. That's the whole point. There are no bad styles. There are there's not a wrong way to be assertive. As long as you're following the rules, you're being as respectful, you're being honest, you're being direct. The style you use is going to depend on the situation and the person and your choice. You know what? I love my kids, and I'm going to try to be supportive and caring when I tell them to do something or stop doing something, but if they make me mad enough, if I've repeated myself 10 times, I'm going to switch quickly from supportive and caring to directing and guiding. Stop doing that. That's a combination of expressive and directing. Stop doing that. Or go to your room.
I think that would actually be, I could be wrong, but I think that could be actually more aggressive than assertive in a way. Because you're saying something you don't like about the person.
Hold on. Don't feel bad, I forgot to silence mine too.
I think it's,
Remember the definition of aggressive. Aggressive, you don't care about. I care about my kids. I can be angry and still care about them. When you're being aggressive, you don't care about the other person. Does that make
I
sense?
think discipline is an assertive thing because it's important for
It means
their
you care about
future. If they never get told no, there's kids out there that have never been told no and they're terrible adults.
I want my son to stop using dirty words. He's 13, so he's going through puberty, so.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want him to grow up to be a classy person who doesn't go around dropping the F-bomb every other sentence. Does that make
Right.
sense? So when I hear him cussing, I'm yelling at him, telling him to stop, expressively directing and guiding, and I'm angry. It doesn't mean I'm being aggressive, because I care about him. But I'm telling him what to do. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
You take my phone. That's my phone. I paid money for it. I miss my phone when I don't have it. I'm going to tell you to give me my phone back. That doesn't mean I'm being aggressive. It means I'm being assertive. Now, if I don't care about you, I might go try to body check you and just take it back without even telling you or asking you. And then finish up page 60. That last paragraph, remember all 4 types of people are okay. And I just got done expressing that. They each have their own communication style, values, strengths, and weaknesses. And they each have the potential to be consistently assertive in their own way. People tend to think of their own type as the best and view the others as inferior, but that kind of thinking is not consistent with an assertive philosophy you are learning to follow. Learn to recognize each type so you can effectively communicate with them and put self-fulfilling prophecy to work by concentrating on their positive characteristics. As you practice matching the style of each person, you will develop your own underlying strength. You will find that matching styles become easier and you will become aware of new abilities, perceptions, and characteristics emerging in yourself. What a nice bonus from learning to communicate more effectively with others. Next week, and this is important, I think this is an important segue because next week we're going to be talking about steps to assertive communication. And